Hello there.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
You lost your guest, huh?
I did. Maybe we'll. Oh, here he comes. Hello, how are we doing tonight? Feel free to go through the first, I don't know, say 6 slides. Welcome to the Brave New Future. I'm your host, Amber King. Tonight we have Frank Walbrown, Ohio Hellbender, former candidate for the Czar of Washington DNR, and new chicken dad. We're going to talk about some amazing things happening in the world, such as geofencing, cell phone surveillance, biocapitalism, data mining, blockchain, homeless cities, morality pills, back to school hardwired, the Bilderberg World Plan, and Elon Musk's Neuralink that just came out today. Hope you guys are doing, everyone. Hi, Jesus. Welcome. You can also find us over at Rockfin, and we also have 2 Patreons up for tonight, Oz and myself. So feel free to join on in, help support the shows, and keep our content coming out. So it's just amazing to me. This is our 8th show. It is August 28th, 2020. 8 happens to be one of my lucky numbers and favorite numbers for a long, long period of time. It's pretty interesting. Do you have a lucky number, Franklin?
1,375,824.
Perfect. Yep. So what are we going to talk about tonight? So my little journey last week started with having an update fail on my cell phone. I've been an Android user for, I don't know, 20 years almost. I had a BlackBerry once, and I've been on Android ever since, I think. And seemed to have a issue with the latest update. It's the first time I've had an update fail in that entire time, and it totally fried my phone. And I had to go get it factory reset and restarted. I was not at home at the time. It was a big PIA. And
I still have one of those Nokia bricks.
Oh, I remember the Nokia bricks. Actually, my first cell phone had an antenna.
Yeah, all my friends, whenever they text, they can either use their thumbs, to click on the virtual keyboard, or they can swipe. But I still have to use T9. So,
ouch! I'm a swiper from way back. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? So, geofencing. So, I get my cell phone reset last week, and, it's just the, factory build, and it's got so much crap on it. One of them was geofencing, and that is a huge issue. So, if you don't know what geofencing is and how they are using it, especially, I believe, and especially in the future of what's happening, I think they're going to go heavy into geofencing for contact tracing for COVID. And so anybody can pretty much set up their own geofence. They are using it in a lot of marketing.
So I would just like to break the word down. You've got geo, which means earth, and then fences, which means fences. So these are very large Earth-sized fences that are keeping us from other planets, or?
More like keeping you close to your retailers.
Oh, well, that doesn't make any sense.
They want to sell you some things. They want to collect data on you. They want to know who comes in your circle.
Well, let me tell you, I want to buy lots of things.
Yes. So when you're driving by that store, all of a sudden you'll get an alert, or you'll get a text message, or when you go to look in a location, it'll automatically suggest that great little store that you love so much.
Yeah.
Because that retailer will be able to know how much time you spend where, how much money you spend where, and that means that they can focus their marketing efforts on you. So you want to roll the video, Oz? It's a little long, but you'll need most of it to understand what's happening.
Geofences are virtual fences or perimeters around a physical location. Geofences detect when someone comes in or leaves the given region. When this happens, it is possible to trigger events and actions, such as sending a notification to the user's mobile phone.
That's great, Daniel, but how does it work?
As a user moves around with her phone, a new position is calculated every now and then from a variety of different sources, such as Wi-Fi and cellular data, GPS, and Bluetooth beacons. The phone uses the updated position to check if the user has entered or left any of the geofences, and in this case, it triggers the corresponding actions. These actions can let the user know that they have entered the geofence, for instance, by displaying a notification. However, they can also be silent without informing the user. Such would be the case if you wanted to track how many times the user has come into your shop and how much time they spend there. Geofences require no additional hardware or sensors to be installed. However, you can use Bluetooth beacons to improve the accuracy of your geofences, especially indoors. For practically all cases, though, you will require that users have your mobile application or one of your partner's mobile applications installed on their device.
Ooh, partners.
We can end it here.
Anywhere,
we'll go on to the next round of how countries are using it.
There will be some limitations on the size and accuracy.
So I just want to learn how. I just want to try to figure out how to use infrared technology to make geofencing better.
Oh, do you have some theories on that?
I feel like we could use a lot of mirrors and maybe some tinfoil and some infrared sensors. I don't know. It could get very complicated.
Sounds awful. Well, I'm glad we can provide you some adult cartoons, Cheeseman, and hope you guys are doing well. But yeah, they are using this technology. There was actually a geofence app automatically turned on my phone with access to all of my data. And if I wouldn't have gone through and changed permissions on every single thing, I would have not been able to have a good scenario.
But then another way they're getting around that too, though, I mean, they're automatically, obviously you had that application on your phone, but they also have, he was talking about the partner applications. So you have, all these big string of applications that can still share shit. So.
Oh yeah, no, but Gas Buddy was trying to get my, how many steps, my physical activity steps on. It was automatically turned on as a permission in part of the app. So
my flashlight was trying to figure out my heart rate.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, Faraday cages. I just got a cool wrap for around my unfortunate smart meter that's on my house, so that I'm grounded. But we'll talk a little bit about some of the things actually that you can do for kids with school going back, and how to get your kids hardwired, because I think that's the next piece we really need to keep an eye on is our wireless situations in the world. If you want to play a little bit of the next clip, Oz, it goes into how they're using this for health.
Only a handful of the world's countries are unscathed by the coronavirus. For the majority battling the disease, there is no single answer. So many are testing out different measures to fight the disease.
Texas tries roadblocks to stop the spread.
South Korea has aggressively tested for the disease.
Italy has extended its emergency anti-coronavirus measures with a lockdown of the entire country.
Most agree keeping people at home is vital. Hong Kong has one of the best records in fighting the virus, just 4 deaths in a population of 7.5 million. That's not much smaller than New York. The 2003 SARS outbreak lives long in the memory, and the city brought in tough early measures to get ahead.
The end of January, Hong Kong closed schools, it sent all of its public servants home.
The semi-autonomous Chinese territory is taking no chances. On March 19, the Hong Kong government began enforcing a compulsory 14-day quarantine for anyone arriving from overseas. Arrivals are instructed to download an app, Stay Home Safe, which pairs with an electronic bracelet. So far, 65,000 have been issued. While the product is new, the technology, geofencing, is actually pretty old.
If you look at the clothes often has a tag on it, right? If you leave the shop with the tag on, the alarm will sound. This is geofencing. It's geofencing for the clothes.
How does your application of geofencing work in the current crisis?
Well, basically, in our apartment, we have different kind of signals beyond GPS. These signals can be Wi-Fi signals, cellular signals, Bluetooth signals. So these devices offer a very rich set of signals unique to your home. So just by learning the signature of where you live, you know whether the person is inside the place or not.
Like a virtual boundary?
Yes, it's like a virtual boundary.
Some people worry about the privacy implications of tracking people, but you said that actually this is privacy preserving to a certain degree.
Your location is not being recorded. It's only that you are inside the home or outside. Okay, so as long as you are inside, the government would be happy. The government would not checking where
as long as
you
we're
are,
inside, the government's
as long as
happy.
you are inside, right? The quarantine place. Once you are stepping out, alert will be given to the government.
There have been several reports of the wristbands failing. Despite this, it's believed many of Hong Kong's positive outcomes are due to conscientious citizens supporting tough government measures. The coronavirus has raised difficult questions about our freedom and privacy when the health of a population is at severe risk. In Hong Kong, breaking your quarantine could result in a hefty fine, jail time, or even being shipped off to a government facility.
My most favorite part.
Yeah, I always feel like my privacy is being preserved when government and other businesses always know where I'm at.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's like the normalization of it. It's insane. I don't understand.
It's like this comfortable geofencing blanket.
See, I always wanted a taco blanket. I don't know about you. This doesn't feel as squeezy and soft.
I feel the virtual hug of these geofences.
A morally weighted blanket?
Yeah, morally weighted.
It might be. Yeah. So yeah, definitely go into all of your phones, go into your kids' phones. If your parents are out there kicking around, not knowing how to operate them, definitely double, triple check their phones and make sure that they know how to turn this stuff on and off. And it may be annoying to sit there and say, yes, turn the location on. I need a map, but it will save you in the end. And it may not save what the rest of this is happening, but it does make a difference. And it's the least amount of information that we can give them, the better, because that preserves, in my opinion, our autonomy. So, any advice you have besides using different operating systems, buying open source phones, and wiping everything, Franklin?
I mean, yeah, just you pretty much, that's all you can really do. You know, there's two major operating systems, iOS and Android, and other than just going through your phone and changing the permissions as needed, you know, only other option is either turning your phone off or trying to find other operating systems like Elo or there are other Android or the other de-Googled Android operating systems that are running around out there. I know the Pine Phone. I don't remember what Pine Phone was running, but there's a lot of them out there that are up and coming and trying to replace Google. They're trying to give you all the things that Google's giving you, not at the scale that Google is giving you, but they're trying to give you, you know, your Drive and, you know, your contacts and your email, and so everything can be your calendar and it could all be integrated, but they're not spying on you.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want to upgrade your Drive, you have to pay them a little bit more money, which I think is worth it, honestly. So like, I definitely think that people should check out Elo. But as far as the Cheese Man is concerned, I do believe that we are going to be merging with machines sooner rather than later. I think that we're going to become either we're going to put our consciousnesses into the multiverse internet, like in Transcendent with Johnny Depp, or we're going to take our organs and put them into machine exoskeletons so that we can be protected.
Well, we'll be talking about that later. Mr. Elon Musk had a pretty big announcement later today, so we'll be covering that in the show. But yeah, they can literally get to anything, which is great if you're, stranded on a cliff and need a rescue. Maybe it's not so great if it's going to up your homeowner's insurance rates or, tell you your kid's not listening to you and going to online class, and so you're getting a reprimand from the school district. There's really a lot of things, and they emotionally target your purchases. That's the biggest thing. It's just
well, they were doing that too with Zoom. They could tell if if the focus of your computer wasn't on the Zoom meeting, if it was on something else, so they could mess with you and be like, you need to get back on the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, totally. Brent, I do have Neuralink presentation later on. But if you want to pull us away so people can read the rest of this slide, Oz, this is really what it's all about. And this is the Commons Project. We're going to cover the Rockefellers and the Bilderbergs tonight, like double whammy. But this is the biocapitalist data mining, risk scoring, and then they utilize it for social engineering, economic regulation, and education access. So if you don't score high enough and you don't earn it, then you don't get the tools to get the education to have a job. So you can be one of the poorer masses, or you can be not at all. But it's called It's called the Commons Project. The Rockefeller Foundation sponsored the board and was created July 8th of this year, and comes with mobility restrictions, the Common Pass. And this is separate from the COVID Pass, which is more of a, I would say, passport travel pass. But this, again, comes with restrictions. So think, Sector 9 and allows, if you don't meet high enough standards, you're not going to be able to freely move around, because you've got the combination of the data mining and the risk assessment, along with education, economic regulation, social engineering.
But
and
how are they going to stop me from moving around? Oh, you're telling me they're going to stop my car?
Your car, or you
car?
Or a security checkpoint, state border.
Or they'll require everybody to have the transit cards on their phone.
Yep.
So I won't be able to get a bus ride.
Nope. They could, make everybody go through security checkpoints, COVID screening or whatever it is. Anything to push this agenda, because they have to have some way to monetize it. But yeah, totally, Cheese Man. Hear you on the Black Mirror on Netflix. It's crazy, and the big thing, like I've been kind of going down the rabbit hole the last few weeks, and then I go onto Netflix and I see all of the shows on there and how much they're trying to normalize all of this. It's insane to me. It's pretty
into the Matrix.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They're pushing it hard. And so one of the things that really, really bothers me is, how do they monetize society kind of against itself? And they're doing that with blockchain charity. And so on the next slide, it shows you a little opportunity of how you can go from being homeless or needing food stamps or whatever it is. How do they make blockchain to the homeless? And they can tie it into access into a shelter at night, or how to get food bank, access services. But they're definitely doing this. And then what happens is then you have it's become philanthropy, but they're betting against the outcomes. And so then you've got a futures market, and you've got all this data behind it. You've pushed them all the major retailers, and then you've got all the data to score it and score each project, which is just horrifying. But go ahead and play the video.
We want to help the people around us who can't eat. But there are two major problems today with giving money to people on the street. For better or worse, recipients don't always spend the money they receive the way we'd like them to. This has led to cynicism among many people about where their money goes and inhibits generosity. As well, not many people carry cash or coins as we move towards a cashless society. Even if someone wants to give to someone else on the street, they usually only have a debit or credit card at the time. Hypergive solves these problems using the Ethereum blockchain by tackling donor cynicism and allowing you to fund secure digital food wallets for homeless and hungry people in your community. Here's how it works. Care cards are crowdfunded by communities on the Hypergive website. People can donate with common payment methods such as a credit card, debit card, PayPal account, or even Bitcoin. Hypergive is also compatible with registered charities, so you'll even receive a tax receipt. We work with a partner organization who issues the care card to a person in need. The card has a QR code containing the address and private key of an Ethereum smart contract. The contract holds the balance remaining on the card, management functions for the partner organization, and the person's picture so they can be validated at the time of the transaction. The person takes the card to a participating retailer who scans the card with an app we provide them on an inexpensive Android phone. The app queries the Ethereum smart contract for validation, and the cardholder's photo pops up on the screen so that the clerk can verify them. This prevents trading or theft of cards. If the transaction is approved, the person receives their food, and the transaction is settled in the retailer's local fiat currency to an account of their choice through bank transfer or PayPal.
Yeah, coffee is usually what I like to eat when I'm homeless.
The smart contract that each food wallet is based on has measures to protect the integrity of the system and allow
it goes into like minute detail, but you can see how
spending limits,
this would be difficult for.
I told you, Ethereum is the contract.
Yeah, it is.
So you have Bitcoin, which is kind of like your gold. You have Litecoin, which is kind of like your silver, and then you have like what's the Ripple? Ripple is kind of like your copper, small microtransactions, and then you have Ethereum, which is your contract-based cryptocurrencies, and then there's shit tons of other cryptocurrencies, and it's just turning into the whole fucking stock exchange bullshit that they have going on right now, betting on one thing or another, people creating altcoins, and then people are betting for them or against them and making a shit ton of money. And I intrinsically don't, anything that's computer based and it creates data, anything that creates data can be hacked. There's a way absolutely to get it.
And mined, you know, human commodity. Yeah. Tell us about this picture, Oz. Just jump in here.
What is it, God?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, God.
You can hear me, God. Well, you know, you guys are talking about this, and I was trying to think of this movie back in 1971 called THX 1138. This movie was a visit to the future where love is the ultimate crime. Set sometime in the future, an underground dystopian society, the population strictly controlled. Sexual intercourse is not permitted. Required to take drugs in order to regulate emotion and improve job performance. They wear identical clothing, and what else did it say? It just, and have shaved heads and are monitored by android police and worship a god that produces the same prompted responses during confessionals. I think we're just right there. I think this is where we're at without the shaved heads and the same clothes, because these android police, they, to me, speak more as being a metaphorical thing. Our phones are our android police right now, and it's kind of ironic that they named the phones androids. So, you know, that's, I just wanted to jump in. We're just fucked. Anyway.
No.
I'm getting all excited.
You know, I think that we're not really far off from wearing, or us all wearing the same thing, because, you know, when you look at fashion, it's not like, I don't know. I see like a lot of people wearing like a lot of like, so you got like Nike, you got, you know, Adidas, you got, you know, if anybody remembers Jinko.
That's
Jinko
rapidly turning into camouflage, gas masks, helmets, gloves.
Right.
And that's going to be on the Christmas list for everybody this year. So, yeah.
And summer watermelon.
Oh, God.
Oh, summer watermelon.
Franklin and I did a
Deep
current
dive.
hit pop list video review last night. It was horrifying, to say the least.
What was his name?
Harry Styles.
Oh man, let me tell you, he did a lot of work on this song.
I won't play it for you.
There's different. I mean, just the like a million ways you can say watermelon sugar. I just was blown away, and the emotion that you can convey with just 2 words.
2 words. That's all it needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is this is one of my favorite quotes. I know many of you talk about it a long time and often in all of our shows. And so this is a Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. I love Aldous Huxley every single time. But the best part, if you go to the next slide, Oz, is what they're working on is morality pills. I'm so excited.
Me too.
So this will be the best shot at ending the coronavirus pandemic because we'll all be compliant. I'm so excited. Are you ready, Oz?
I'm excited to be compliant. I don't know about you.
I mean, you do no wrong.
What is
right?
that? One of those 50-50 pills, half Viagra, half moral values? How would that work? Wouldn't that blow up when they're combined?
It might. All right. So I'm just hoping we can double dose our political systems on both sides of the aisle. So that's where I'm going. But if you want to play the next slide, there's a clip and it'll tell you all about it. I know you guys are excited.
Moral enhancement basically means the use of biomedical interventions in terms of improving morality in humans. So one idea is that certain groups, such as psychopaths, could be improved because they have profound deficits in moral decision-making. Another idea is that humanity as a whole needs to be improved morally because we witness a lot of immoral behavior all the time. Certain neurointerventions may affect moral judgment and decision-making. So we know that the use of oxytocin, the use of stimulants, and these are pharmacological interventions, could affect human behavior and socio-moral behavior to benefit humanity. It does work, but only for members of the in-group. So if they have the same ethnicity, language, religion, race, and so on and so forth, they will be more likely to collaborate, trust each other, and so on and so forth. However, if they are coming from a different background, then they are more likely to, be parochial, not to collaborate, to maybe even be aggressive, and so on and so forth. So the evidence-based research on these technologies and how they can be applied to humans and society needs to be carefully sort of scrutinized. And that's part of my work. So I've been using conceptual analysis, of course, as a neurophilosopher, and also qualitative methods and quantitative methods in order to see what evidence we have before engaging in a social experiment and giving, let's say, prisoners oxytocin. Let's see what it does. And what are the
That's how I like to test my medication too on prisoners.
It's important to have both sides carefully scrutinized, pro and contra, before we make important social decisions, both in terms of affecting humanity or society as a whole, and in terms of affecting any single population, such as prisoners.
But my favorite way is to buy twins from poor parents and then test it on both of them at the same time. Because then you have a really great group, Are
you excited, Oz? I can tell you're really excited about this.
Honest to God, I think Kubrick had it right. How did it work out so well for this guy back in that morality shit? For those of you who have seen Clockwork Orange,
fucking great movie.
I mean, this segment you're doing nails that movie. That movie was so far ahead of its time, it's unreal. And you know what? If you haven't seen A Clockwork Orange, lots of violence, but this particular segment lines up exactly. They had this guy, and they made him moral after they caught him, and he was a prisoner.
Hyperviolence.
Yeah, he was in prison, and they used him as a prisoner, and they changed his morality compass. Didn't work out so well.
Well, I like to think that we are pushing more towards a Paul Stamets type of morality pill that's based on, mycelium and, lysergic acid. That's not what they were putting in Kubrick's film. It was much more sinister, like pharmaceuticals. But there are natural ways to increase, connection to the earth that helps with morality and our own human connections. And that, I think, that ethereal human spirit connection is so much more important than, say, the pharmaceutical version of morality.
You damn tree huggers are all alike. Come on, get with the program. Modern chemistry. That's the only way to go.
Better
yes.
life,
I
better
forget
life
how
through
much
chemistry.
it's so much better.
Okay.
Yeah, can't do it. I can't do it. So anyway, that is an option. In lieu of this, I know we were talking a little bit about education before, and the next slide gives some really important tips for back to school and hardwiring. So, household radiation is off the charts right now, and people are keeping their cell phones so close to them. Their laptops fall asleep on their bed. We've got our sitting in front of our computers all day. Then we're, everything. It's all close by to us. So for our kids, it's really important to hardwire your house and your children. Obviously, that takes on a bunch of different meanings for different families, but you can buy shielded Ethernet cords and adapters for your phones and laptops. You can plug them into your router and adapters and then turn off the Wi-Fi. So you'll just be hardwired. So that's really important. Figure out your router. Make sure you have a good router with good controls. I highly recommend not getting the internet company version of your router. It's better to have your own equipment and make sure you can do it. Make sure you turn off both 2 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz and save your changes. And make sure the on-off switch is able to be, connected. So you will have fast service with no dropped calls or reception, which is more secure and not emitting high levels of harmful radiation. Are we ready? Are you ready, Oz? How much Wi-Fi are you all hardwired?
You know what? I'm sitting in a microwave oven here. I've got 9 computers. I've got 3 cell phones. Let me see what else is on this list. A fan. I've got a radiation detector. That's kind of an oxymoron because I think it throws off radiation too. I've got I got all the light bulbs that you could possibly imagine. So I'm fucked here too. I might as well just get some sauce and somebody can dine down on me.
Well, I do like your bananas, so I think we should get some of those.
Yeah, we got bananas.
But you can spend $100 and save your kids a brain tumor. So that's an option. But here's some delicious bananas. Also, Eastern Washington potatoes and hops and grapes are really fun. Heavily radiated. And like how are we getting into this? How did we get so far down this?
I don't know. I personally think that unirradiated food just lacks this je ne sais quoi. I feel like there's just this special something that irradiated produce gives a certain flavor. I can't put my finger on it. It's great.
Hey,
True.
Amber. He said, je ne sais quoi. Je ne sais quoi.
Sasquatch. Je ne sais squatch.
We are in Seattle, so that would be appropriate. Oh, fun. I love it, Oz. We've got some
the electromagnetic spectrum.
Spectrums coming up. It's really important to know your spectrums.
Who's a ham radio operator out there? Raise your hand.
Who wants to be? I'm just a VHF radio operator.
So
way back.
So the damn smoke detector throws off radiation too.
If it's hard, it can be if it's hardwired.
Yeah, it depends on the smoke detector.
Yeah, it's got a radioactive emblem on the smoke detector. So what is that? We're going to kill you with radiation, but we'll make sure you don't burn to death. Okay.
My cheap ass ones aren't, so I'll probably burn to death.
Oh, God.
But you can go out and buy a Geiger counter for $400, and you'll know, and you can get one that you can get all types of radiation, so not just dangerous radioactive radiation, but know how much your cell phone's putting out, know how much your router's putting out, check your smart meter. Myself as a renter, it's not an option. What's yours reading right now, Oz?
It's not on. I don't think I want to turn it on.
I see on the electromagnetic spectrum, there's a lot of infographic pictures of the electromagnetic spectrum, and it shows you like, here's where tanning, and here's where X-rays are, and here's where radio waves are, and whatever. I'm waiting for the infographic picture that shows you at what point here's how this part of the electromagnetic spectrum affects the human body.
All of it.
How
much electricity is in an EKG?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I want to know, because there's certain frequencies that do certain things that excite, because the microwave is based on the science that the microwaves excite the water molecules and heat up the food.
Yeah.
So if you that's dangerous to humans. If you were to put your hand in the microwave, you'd fucking just massacre your hand. It'd be like a gigantic. You'd be boiling your hand.
You can ask Department of Defense because they have high energy weapons.
Do you have any questions for an expert in radiation? Because we have a radiation expert in the chat right now. Snarky, I won't say what his profession is, but he's an expert in radioactivity. So.
Well, I used to work, I was as ex-industrial hygienist, which used to be radioactive and industrial hygiene all in one, before they broke them apart into two at the plant where I used to work. And radiation can do lots of things. There's both acute and chronic things that radiation can do to you, which is kind of a broad term, but different elements have different radioactive things that they can do to you.
Yeah. So is that how you lost all your hair and you have to wear that toupee?
Right.
Okay, I was just checking.
It was a technetium. So you can obviously, one of the biggest things that radiation does to the body on the far end of the spectrum is that it creates irregularities in our cells, which can develop into cancer.
Yes, and over time, they've shown a lot of damage at even low levels, but repeated low level radiation does cause harm.
Right.
And especially in the United States, we try and mitigate that because we try and spread it out. We're trying to make it smaller. I do not use a microwave. Jilly, my favorite part of moving out of Alaska was booting that thing out of the back of a truck. I cheered. My kids cried. They still cry. But no way will not use a microwave, and urge everybody to not use a microwave, not even to melt butter. Nope. Do you miss microwaves, Franklin?
I can't sit here and pretend like a microwave isn't really convenient, because you can just pop a fucking burrito or, a soup in the microwave and then boom, it's done, but it's not like super big deal, and Brent, I would just like to say that there's a lot of Eris modems that are pretty good, but as far as a specific model, I don't remember the number, but there's one that can give you the full, above 1 gigahertz, the new 10 gig connection for your house even. So, but I can, if you want to email Oz or whatever, I can maybe give you a recommendation.
Yeah, you can also, so these recommendations came from Moms Across America, which is a group that I've been working with for many, many years, and concerned about all of the technology and the lack of safety studies and harm to the body, because these make corporations a lot of money and they don't want to do a lot of safety testing. They do just enough to get it licensed or authorized, or they give it to the military and have the military do it, and then it becomes a private contract. So back to the contract game that we have, but it's really important, that you do think about these things and not just like, I'm fine now, because, this isn't what your parents had growing up. This isn't what this is a whole new world that we are subjecting very young brain cells to. And the younger, the more damaging it can be for brain and neural development. So, we've lost a lot of our IQ as a country already, I believe, from our toxic food supply, and we don't need to be continuing to add to it with additional radiation poisoning and EMF damage at high levels. And a lot of people, I'm one of them, happen to be sensitive to it. So it's I wish that people took more heed and paid attention to it. But
one of our guests
people out there with readings. What was that, Oz?
One of our guests would like to join this conversation. Are you up to that?
I am, sure.
Okay, well, give me a minute and we'll get him in here, okay?
All right, awesome. Let's see. We can come back to this too, but there's a great link on the next slide that goes into the Bilderberg Plan, my favorite group. I mean, if we're going to have a group, might as well go with the best of them and the oldest. So hopefully this starts at the right time. It starts at about 30 seconds, I believe. If not, we'll cut there and I'll tell you when to cut. It didn't go. So start at about 30 if you can.
The last video we did is actually not the Bilderberg report we were planning on doing. We were planning on doing a Bilderberg report about the technology, which plays a much larger part in the overall plan that Bilderberg seems to have been in.
And it's become increasingly evident that Bilderberg is not just an important place for global financiers and politicians and those who are in the realm of geopolitical events, but it's also a very important convergence for technology. And that is reflected by its regular attendance from amongst the Silicon Valley elite, who are now heavily represented on Bilderberg's steering committee, and they're there every year. And they're not only covering topics like artificial intelligence and quantum computing, for which they've invited multiple figures from within Google and from other institutions, including MIT, but they're very much focused on the city of the future, the 21st century smart city that they promised everyone.
Yes, we love the opportunities and excitement of the city. But there is another side to this picture.
Well, that is now being implemented. We see several projects in the works amongst the membership of this year's meeting. And one of those projects is represented in a forgettable figure on the list, Maria Ranka, who has not held any high positions in government, but who is the Stockholm, Sweden Chamber of Commerce director. But it turns out, if you look into her, she's working with the Brookings Institute based in the U.S. on Global Cities Initiative, which is being implemented in Stockholm as well as in dozens of U.S. cities, and it's being modeled in places across the world.
I would say that the openness to the world is really key to our success. We were the birthplace of the mobile phone and the first 4G network in commercial use. Stockholm is a city that is being coded by computer programmers.
There seems to be two overarching projects here that are represented that really are where everything in the world is headed right now. And one is happening in little tiny Estonia there next to Russia, and the other is happening in Saudi Arabia.
And while Saudi Arabia doesn't have anyone attending the Bilderberg meeting, what they do have is Klaus Kleinfeld, the German-born guy who's also lived in the U.S., who's been on the Bilderberg steering committee for years and years and who attends every year. In the past, he's been known for being the CEO of Alcoa and of Siemens, so very big in industry and commerce, and very big in data harvesting and planning for the future. Siemens works with Disney World and all these high-tech places to implement basically
There's another teacher who's wonderful at it and does it. I normally do robots and industrial automation, but there's a shortage of electronics instructors. Since I used to build electronics factories.
I think you're live now, just to let you know.
Oh, okay.
I think you're live.
Okay.
I think you're live.
Oh, welcome.
I don't want to interrupt your show.
Thanks for coming on the show. We got Snarky here, who's going to tell us a little bit about electronics, and we'll get back to that. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a studio crash, so apologies.
Yeah, Snarky's
and
still
we'll get
out.
everybody all
Snarky's camera
situated and dropped in, but no worries. So tell us a little bit about yourself that you'd like to know.
Around a little over 30 years ago, I worked for a research group for a large company that I won't name. But when their American subsidiaries got ready to move to Mexico, I followed my boss to another company. We cleaned up companies that were having problems. We went to a company that made smoke detectors that had a recall of 6 million of them. They forgot how to manufacture them. And yes, they did have a radioactive power source. Regular battery could not last long enough to ionize the air to make a smoke detector sensitive. So they found a very willing source of americium-241 who was willing to basically give it to them, almost just for a civilian use for it, as it was recovered from a non-civilian use. So we had to get all of the processes under control, get them operational, and get them fixed. So I actually at that company developed an AI to study this. This was 30 years ago, so it was very, very primitive. And first thing I'd like to get off on people is the misunderstanding of AI. We did not use it as an oracle, like a god we were asking questions to. We used it as a caveman would use a dog.
Right.
The dog knew how to smell a mammoth. It did not know how to kill a mammoth. It would not tell us how big or hairy the mammoth was. But the dog would tell the old humans, there's a mammoth over there. And then the humans would go kill it and they would both eat. So our thing was, our AI did not know what a good part looked like, but it knew when something drastically changed. So whenever something changed and we had statistics that we could go, we had to do our calculations out to 32 decimal points, or 32 characters, that's what we would say, significant digits, to keep the math relevant enough. And we were able to model to the point where at first, only 1 out of 4 welds that we made we could not solder the radioactive part. Only 1 out of 4 worked, and we had 3 welds on each device. So we just had millions. We were making 300,000 of them a day. Millions bad. And so within a very short time of modeling and putting on these automated monitors to the machines, they started getting to the point where at first our mechanics didn't believe we could tell something was wrong, to the point where our mechanics would not actually repair anything until they heard from whether we called the original AI dashboard. Until dashboard said that there was something wrong with the welder, they wouldn't go to it. And then eventually we learned enough that we could tell 15 minutes to 4 hours ahead of time when a machine was going to fail. Predictions or forecasts got out that far. So the americium, let's get back into radioactivity. I never see so many bogus things passed around the internet as when we're talking about radioactivity. And the one that bothers me the most is people talking about how safe molten salt reactors are. I don't know a reactor that I'm comfortable with.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
So I know I'm going to have a lot of molten salt believers, actually. If I had to have a reactor, that would probably be the one I went with. My first thought is, do we really need a reactor? Is there another means? So of the reactor types, the smoke detector power source is not what I would call a reactor. It is called it's a radioisotope decay. So it's something that's going to part and it's going to go whether we use it or not. It splits. And the next thing is the biggest comprehensive thing that I see wrong with people talking about radiation is they talk about how big the or how long the half-life is. And they get that completely backwards. The worst half-lives are the shortest ones. How many people have ever had Pepto-Bismol? There are no stable isotopes of bismuth. So it has a very, very, very long
but it looks
half-life. Cool. Yeah. And things that have a very, very bad half-life are things that last nanoseconds.
Technetium has a pretty
femtoseconds. I didn't work much with technetium, but when we got into americium splits a lot more than plutonium. Originally, when they discovered curium before they discovered americium, and americium was originally going to be called pandemonium, and people put their thing. And curium was the worst. If you basically had a piece of foil, like aluminum foil of americium or of a curium, and you folded it, you would start a chain reaction. It was that bad. So they called these two pandemonium because they just could not call delirium and pandemonium. They just couldn't. But they had to have some kind of America thing in there because it was discovered. But again, people then forget that most radioisotopes have decay chains. They'll take a look at what is the first decay chain, and they don't look at, okay, 1 femtosecond later, what happens. There are also things that we didn't know about in the 50s and the 40s. I'm not that old, but there's also states where metastates where it doesn't quite go into a complete decay, but it stores some energy that's going to kick out later. And this works quite a bit like a billiard ball going across a billiard table, but spinning. And then when it hits something, you get this really crazy whack off to the side. That happens. So another thing is called branching factors. They don't always break the same way. So we can say 95% of the time, americium is going to break into neptunium and an alpha particle. The alpha particles are very useful. I do have somebody asking me about using alpha particles, and I don't mind that if I can save some lives. And the work of the program called Dashboard, we attributed to the savings of 18 lives a day since 1990.
Well, thank you.
That's good.
So people that say AI are deadly horrible, going to take over the world, it did not know anything about taking over the world. It did not know. All it could do was tell us bad.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on your definition. Different. It depends on your definition of what artificial intelligence is.
But as we throw things to the mob, and people read it on the internet and transfer it on to each other and each other and each other, they develop what I call the bloody duck syndrome. If I have a room with a dead sheep, a lion, and a duck that's got blood dripping off of its beak, most people are going to assume the lion attacked the sheep, not the bloody duck. And this is what's happening with 5G. People are getting cancer. We are in a soup of causes of cancer. 5G comes in, everybody's going, oh, it's radiation. Just a person standing beside you emits radiation. If you take the backs of your hands, not the front of your hands, take the backs of your hands and put them 1 centimeter apart, you'll already feel the radiation. That's IR, infrared. Notice how you can feel it with the back of your hand, but you can't feel it with the front? Feel it more in the back?
Yeah.
Because you burned yourself picking up cocoa too much. Coffee, and you pick up so many hot things, we're all used to it. We're used to touching ourselves. Yeah, so 5G. Take a look. I know you don't have a microwave to look at. Take a look at your microwave. Somebody else's. Go over, knock on your neighbor's door right now. It's not that late. They'll let you in. Knock on the door. Take a look at the front of the door of the microwave. And you'll notice that the lines on the front of the microwave are about 1 centimeter apart. I think that's about right. That's the frequency of your. So the next thing we're dealing with is called harmonics. It's actually a wave, radio wave going by. And it works. Yeah, but this wave has a certain size. If we break it up, it doesn't go through. So we don't need a complete wall of metal to stop radio or microwaves. We need what's called a Faraday cage. All around it, a containment to go off. Do you know another place where you might encounter something really similar to a microwave window? And I think we could look at Oz. Oz, are those photograde lenses or are those polarized green lenses?
These are photograde lenses.
Okay, I thought they were the. I thought they looked like polarized lenses.
No,
polarized lenses are actually wires made out of iodine or some other halogen. So when the electric light coming through you, it has a magnetic wave going this way, and 90 degrees from it, it has a magnetic wave and an electrowave going the other 90 degrees out of it.
Right.
So if I cut the electrical wave, the mechanic can't get through. So if you have some broken wires, mad shaped, yes, a microwave can leak. But usually they're not as bad as most people say. If there's any problems with it, definitely want to get it checked out. You want to break a microwave so that somebody less fortunate might not look at it and say, "Oh, look, a microwave." If there's any problems with a microwave, break it. Cut the wires off. Stick a screwdriver into the control panel, just so somebody else doesn't get hurt. So I do say I don't mind a more recent microwave, but if it's acting bad, that's bad. So we get to 5G versus 2G, and things that are about the same same level, yeah, but they have a property where they both want to be at the same weight.
They're harmonizing.
Natural harmonic. I'm trying not to get into mechanical terms in it. So everything has its own resonance that it wants to be at.
2.4 and 5 gigahertz.
Right. Well, so with water, we are a lot of water.
It is 10 p.m.
Yeah. So we're most susceptible at the frequencies that water is, and a little bit offset because we have some other stuff in us too. But the iron in our body actually takes a lot. We're not as hemoglobin as we think we are, but there's still a lot of things in our body take a lot of it. So the frequencies that are worse are the original cell phone, not the 2G, not the 5G. The old one is the worst. The old one was where they tried to put all the power in. So the new ones actually cut down on the risk, not improve it, not increase it. So I don't like the fact of how much is around, and I'm really a fan of a new one coming out called Li-Fi. Now Li-Fi takes a frequency that doesn't bother our eyes, and it just uses light. So if I'm in a room, it's going to be bouncing off a Li-Fi receptor we put in a room. It's not going to work in the next room. So I've got privacy. It's not going to go outside a wall unless I got a window. So if I've got a facility where I don't want to have any risk, I can actually start using mobile devices again because I can just set them on Wi-Fi.
Hey, can I ask a quick question before?
Sure. Sorry.
No, that's
before
all right.
I drone off.
No, that's all right. That's all right. We're going to go in this next segment in a second. We're getting long on time, but okay, on the microwave. So what is it that affects my cell phone when the microwave's going and I get too close to it?
I've got that problem too. So there you're getting a problem with the harmonics off of the electronics for your controls.
If you go up one slide, there's a great visual. I just added a couple extra slides in.
Okay. Alexa also does not work within 10 feet of a microwave. Cancel.
Yes.
Yeah, what were you saying about AI? I think I don't know. Anyway, now, where are we at here, Amber?
Pull us back and so people can see the bottom real quick. This is just the ionizing, non-ionizing, gamma ray to radio waves, infrared. My favorite things are in the infrared spectrum, which is my infrared sauna that keeps me detoxed and healthy. But I mean, this is a good. I always bring up this visual as what are the differences and where is this moving.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, X-ray. You got more X-ray from an old TV than you do from a current microwave.
Oh yeah.
Because whenever you deflect an electron beam, that difference in angle does create X-ray.
I think that's when we bring in the laser cats.
And this is the polarized filter versus the polarizing filter. So
yeah.
it keeps out one wave where it lets the light wave through, right?
But what I originally got interested is when you started talking about almost everybody I see using radiation detectors uses them wrong. If I can't imagine how many times I see people in Japan after the tsunami have their smoke detectors in a bag and they're trying to test it. Alpha does not like to go through plastic bags.
The big particle.
Only mica is what they like to go through. And again, that's all the numbers that we posted are a majority. We say tend. It's not for real. Because an alpha particle in air, we say tends to go like 4 centimeters max. But in our facility, we had a large amount because we typically had 6 curies of alpha. So we would have, if you went 1 out of 100, able to go more than 4 centimeters. We had a dome that was 18 feet that was clean air because alpha particles are just clean air. But the the radiation detectors, if you pull a radiation detector over a pile of fish, you're not going to get a reading. Outside the body, gamma is like about the worst. Beta's bad too. Inside the body, alpha is worse. So if you're going to eat fish, you want to know if there's alpha. If you want to see if there's alpha in a fish, you don't wave one detector over 2 tons of fish. You grab a fish, you slice it open, and you go right down into the fish, and you can only tell one fish at a time.
Yeah, we were trying to actually test dried fish bones. Was how we were trying to get them, because we were trying to figure out how to get them from different parts of Alaska, and assuming that the cesium would collect in the bone matter.
Cesium you're going to find more in apple blossoms than you're going to find in fish bones.
And actually, a friend of mine down in Oregon has a lovely picture of all these mutated flowers that he's found with with high ratings next to him up in the Oregon foothills in the Cascades.
I had some in Illinois after the cloud went by.
Yeah. Well, and we also, you've got to, not all of that's from Japan too, because they're doing all the small modular reactors are being designed and tested in Central Oregon. So good times. Do
you want to do brain activity now?
Yeah, let's get into a little Elon Musk.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Love to hear what your thoughts are after this clip. This was the big announcement today from Mr. Musk regarding the Neuralink.
What I'm excited to show you, I quote like the three little pigs demo, and if our animal handlers, we're bringing out the pigs, and what we're going to show you is well, I'll walk right over and show you. So what we have in pen number 1 is Joyce, and she does not have an implant. Obviously healthy and happy. We're trying to get Gertrude out, and this is how you know it's a live demo. So here's Dorothy, and in the case of Dorothy, Dorothy used to have an implant, and then we removed the implant. So this is a very important thing to demonstrate is reversibility. So if you have a Neuralink and then you decide you don't want it, or you want to get an upgrade, and the Neuralink is removed, is it removed in such a way that you are still healthy and happy afterwards? And what Dorothy illustrates is that you can put in the Neuralink, remove it, and be healthy, happy, and indistinguishable from a normal pig. Oh, thanks, Dorothy. Here we go. Great. Okay. Great. Okay.
She's not a part.
It's a high energy pig. All right.
High energy
thanks
pig.
for coming out. So what the beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink in Gertrude's head. So this Neuralink connects to neurons that are in her snout. So whenever she snuffles around and touches something with her snout, that sends out neural spikes, which are detected here. And so on the screen, you can see each of the spikes from the 1,024 electrodes. And then if she snuffles around, touches her snout in the ground, or you kind of feed her some food, pigs love food, then you can see the neurons will fire much more than when you're not touching the snout. And that's what's making the beeping sound. All right, cool. So as you can see, we have a healthy and happy pig. Initially shy, but obviously high energy and you know, kind of loving life. And she's had the implant for 2 months. So this is a healthy and happy pig with an implant that is 2 months old and working well. Yeah. All right, cool. And then we actually have, I hope this works, so we said, well, what if we do 2 Neuralink implants? And we've been able to do dual Neuralink implants in, actually, I think 3 pigs at this point, and we have a couple of them here. And we've been able to show that you can actually have multiple Neuralinks implanted, and again, healthy and happy and indistinguishable from a normal pig. So, so it's possible to have multiple links in your head and have them all be sending out signals and be working well. All right, so we just showed you a demonstration of reading brain activity. And let's see, probably see that.
Visual of it.
As I was saying, each of those dots represents a neural spike, and the blue chart at the bottom is showing an accumulation of neural spikes in that region. So in terms of additional brain reading activity, when we have, say, one of our pigs on a treadmill, pig on a treadmill, it's a funny concept, really. And we take the readings from the neurons, and we try to predict the position of the joints. And so we have the predicted position of the joints, and then we measure the actual position of the joints. You can see that they're almost exactly aligned. So we're able, with a wireless neural implant, to actually predict the position of all of the limbs in the pig's body with very high accuracy.
Dun dun dun.
So they're gonna predict how my hands are gonna move. So like if I want to kill someone,
they'll know it as it's happening. And
okay.
Now, quick question: would this be mapping for making androids? Would that be something they would use to map the body movements in an android, or what?
I mean, you could make an android. I mean, if you're wanting to make an android pig, yeah. I mean, anything like if you were to do neural implants in a human, right? And they're measuring body movement, then yes, you could use that to improve android.
Okay, my question would be, what if you reverse the stream and gave the pig commands to do? Would that be something to consider?
Well, I don't see, where are they putting the neural link? Neural to me sounds like they're putting it in the snout. Where's the connection to the brain?
I'm assuming.
Are they going up through the sinus and then back in?
Yeah, I mean that's.
So I don't know if they're finding a spot in the brain. See, that's what we don't know. We don't know where the neural link is at.
Well, that's probably proprietary, and they didn't want to give too much away, maybe, huh?
But I'm assuming, my assumption is that the neural link is like very close or within the brain, and they just know where like the receptor, the smelling receptor part of lobe is.
Well, the brain itself, we're talking about a part of brain they call the arachnid. It's below where the part that goes back to the eye. So it's right back there, and that's where your motion control to your body is, and everything is in that area right underneath where the back of the nose and you go down. So we're talking about a swarm of activity that would be happening in that area. So to localize the area, I would almost think that they're putting it right in where the two sides are, right, cutting into there. And I just wonder what the healing time like is. And again, since I'm not that active in it, I'm just a little wondering about the actual reversing and how much scarring would be possible. So again, I'm not an adequate understanding of it myself of what's going on in there.
Certainly fascinating, though. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, and I know they're using it on infants and children to do the same thing, except for they aren't implanting; they're putting little helmets, little neural helmets on them, especially like preemies and things to stimulate brain activity to help them heal. But I believe Musk's plan is to connect them to AI. Yeah. That is the advanced bionics brain-computer interface.
That's the way that we're programming AI these days. We're not it's not a series of if-then statements. It's a lot of examples. You just keep throwing examples at the computer, and then they learn it, and then they have the ability to be able to discern on their own. That's where I think really the intelligence part of artificial intelligence comes in, is because we start throwing it's pretty much how we learn as humans. We live life, we're given a lot of examples, and we learn the things that we learn, and that's how they're able to use more and more examples to get smarter and better, more accurate at whatever it is the thing that they're doing. Like identifying an apple,
we made a probability field. So we would say, for this, if we notice this behavior where 95% of the time when I saw this position near here, and I would be looking at how do I tell what a circle is. That's where the AI comes in, part of the learning. The other parts of going together, again, that's probability. If I see those together, that it's like another layer out. If I see those together, then I know that I've got a good probability that this is a flashlight, or I got a good probability it's a frog. The file you build when you monitor current sensors that you would put on a joint, or balls that you put on somebody and watch a camera to see their move, that's called a BVH file, a behavioral file, a BVH. So .BVH is the actual symbol we'd use for it. we do model both humans and robots using a BVH. They're common files that people can actually make on simple computers, because there are so many people doing wonderful things at home in their own developments that it's surprising how much you can learn from just so many people. But I'm still, I know Parkinson's disease, they're cutting into the area near where they call the arachnid, and they're using electrical stimulation, and they're getting to the point where you see people without the device, their hands are shaking, they have no control, they turn it on and they're back and almost normal while that system's going. So I see things are working, and I remember back, I've been out of school for a long time, the double barrel cannula into the brain when they were doing rat control experiments decades ago. I just, and my wife died of brain cancer, so I'm very familiar with the healing of the brain. And that took a long time. Oh, sorry, I guess I got a chat. But
yeah, I put a link in there that actually has a picture of what his device will look like. But he describes it as a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires.
Yeah, and that's what they did with rats 30 years ago.
and I'm imagining, I as we see animal testing go, that means, the pig's the closest to the human brain, of course, which is why that it's such a big announcement. Yeah, I actually, Jilly, I think psychedelic mushrooms can have much the same effect as well, and regrowing neurons and showing damage growth. They've done a lot of studies on that. So Oregon actually has a bill that they're voting on to legalize it. So it'll be interesting to see if that passes. Hopefully you can get out and support them in November.
Being the person that I am, I automatically, you hear these new technological advances, and as the geeky me, I'm like, oh man, that's cool. But then it's like, you think about the practicality of whatever the thing is and how it is that people or businesses are going to use these to make money. And that's where the evil part is, because you have like Google, they're harvesting all of our data, but the intent is not to better us, like to, make sure that we're all healthy. The intent is to sell us things, to make sure
or monitor. So in a commercial, you could play a bit of music, and you could actually tell when that person heard those notes.
Hypermarketing.
Yeah. So and hypermarketing with feedback. So I could say how many people saw. Then right now, a lot of places you have some sampling on the data. How many people do you think watched it? It's an estimate. Now you would have, okay, how many people heard the music? And you have a different brain reaction from when you actually thinking than when you hear. So you can tell the different levels of involvement. Wow. I really don't like that.
Why not?
You don't want to be plugged into the Matrix?
Yeah, come on. Join us in the Matrix. Take that blue pill.
It'll be, they're saying it's going to be a lot sooner than they thought.
I'm betting on the climate. I'm betting on the climate, guys. That's going to get us before we're going to advance far enough to fix it.
It'll be a good combo, like a 1-2 punch.
Okay. When you eat the steak, that it's not actually a steak.
Oh my God.
But it tastes exactly like a steak. What more do you need?
Oatmeal.
Now, given a technology, people usually find some ways to hack it.
Yeah.
Now,
that's the fucking thing, isn't it?
Centuries ago, to get a brain high, people would, if they saw St. Elmo's fire, they would jump into it. High electrostatic, right in behind the ear, can put you into the same state as smoking pot.
Huh. That's interesting.
Now we got
ultra hardwired. Oh yeah.
I think.
So also in that state, while you're in that state, you can tell people strange things and they'll believe it.
Oh yes.
Because it's the center that normally tells you that you're in a dream state and that what you have is not real. When you override that, everything you see is real. So you could be saying the sky's blue and they'd be like, oh yeah, the sky's blue. That's a cool blue.
Well, they're doing that on MSNBC right now, Snorky. So
on any channel, just pick. But thank you for joining us tonight. I thank you for letting us run a little long and putting up with our 2020 crash. So appreciate it. And we've got general strike opportunities. September is the month. We've been pushing this for a long time, but it may just magically happen all on its own without anybody being here. The demands, universal health care, protections from COVID, that does not equal surveillance and, geofencing and living wages.
Wait, that's not COVID Pass?
No, not COVID Pass or COVID Commons. But we hope you all stay connected.
Does that mean Neuralink?
Not that scary. Come on, Brent, in the chat. I don't know, but feel free, hit up our Patreon accounts. This will be up on Rockfin Premium, and hope everybody joins over there. And we're going to pull it off YouTube so they don't come after us with the body snatchers later. So have a great Friday night. And thanks again. You got Shanda next week on Friday, and I'll be the week after. And tomorrow, are you guys doing anything tomorrow, Oz?
Beauty and the Boomer tomorrow night, 7:30. Bring your mixed drink or your beverage of choice, and we'll be there.
Awesome. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Stay connected.
Thanks.
I hope I didn't ruin it for you guys. Are we clear?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
We're waiting for this commercial to get over with. Here we go.
You're not using Brave, are you, Oz?
Well, I am, but I'm not. I'll tell you that.